We got today. Staff eats his lunch. Damn governors rush to Zelensky after Trump kicks him out of the White House. Well, yeah, obviously. Right? I mean, all the war hawks are obviously going to be on Zelensky's side, right? Left-wing meltdown sparks over Trump Vance standing up to Zelensky. Well, I mean, the media will always be at odds with, right, Trump and Vance. So the fact that all that shit happened yesterday, right? Like, that's the media for you. If that's the narrative they want to spin, then so be it. But, I mean, they're marching us headlong into a fucking war, to be honest. Fairfax County politician uses men's bathroom to shield himself from questions about trans bathroom policy. How does that work? Let's go. Trump taking away rights favoring people is a threat to our democracy. Trump taking away rights favoring people is threat to our democracy? What do you mean? Maybe this will finally take away the whole double standards and rules for thee but not for me, right? So, yeah, I don't care. Great reset. Eat less meat to meet green goals, says UK Climate Change Committee. Nice. Former NBA star Patrick Beverly slapped with lawsuit after allegedly throwing ball at fans. Wait, what? Teary-eyed federal employee compares filling out Elon Musk's email to what I imagine living in North Korea to be like. I mean, if you want to be shipped there, that's fine by me. Fucking weirdo.
Today I responded to the email that we received as federal employees asking us to report 5 things that we accomplished.
Why does she look like she has a filter on?
Last week. The feeling of just like absolute existential dread that I felt typing out a response to that.
You felt dread at your computer typing out a response. I'm sorry, what?
Email is something that
is the dread you feeling that you didn't do any work? Is that it?
I wish I could convey
you didn't work?
to everyone because it felt like such a glimpse into the reality that they are trying to create.
What do you mean? Literally, did you do any work? And if you did any work, what kind of work did you do? Very easy.
And it was terrifying. It felt like
How about a simple one? Did you eat breakfast?
Do what I say or else. It's just a flex. It's just you need to know who's in charge, and this is one of the ways we're making you aware. It felt much like I would imagine living in a place like what.
When you signed that employer, right? When you signed that contract to be paid for certain work, didn't it have certain stipulations on it that you're supposed to follow?
What I always imagined North Korea to be like would be like where the energy is, yes, master, your wish is my command.
The feeling of just like absolute existential dread that I felt, it felt like you will do what I say.
Common throughout the working world. If she is uncomfortable with this arrangement, she is free to resign. Yeah. Did you forget that you went to school too, and that's kind of the relationship you have with your teachers? The fuck are you doing? As an exemplar of the problem we have with many federal employees, I know, right?
We have people that don't show up to work and nobody even knows that they work for the government. So by asking the question, tell us what you did this week, what he's doing is saying, are you actually working?
What would you say you do here?
It felt like such a glimpse into the reality that they are trying to create.
Can I put stapler back? Yeah, why would federal employees have to justify their jobs like the rest of us? Oh yeah, I know, right? Very strange. Very strange indeed. So F and what? When I was a cubicle rat, I had to do weekly activity reports, which amounted to what did you do this week? Pretty much. I mean, in school, that's pretty much all you do, right? Fucking. This is nothing new at all for anyone who ever worked a white-collar job. But for some reason, government workers seem to think they are some sort of protected class or something equally dumb. Yeah, I think that's the issue with some Americans, right? They feel so entitled that we must work around them and for them. It's like, what? You're not the boss, sorry. I'll fucking stick your head on a pike if I have to. The Goo sound effect was spun on Ridiculocity wins the internet. New Jersey in the 1980s, I worked as a summer seasonal in the state park service. All of us seasonals, and the permanent staff as well, had to fill out timesheets each week, checking off the things we did or had a part doing. No biggie. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I do not understand the problem. This is a really easy problem to fix, both for men going in the wrong restrooms and playing for the wrong team. Unemployed, days picking on me. Make them top it. I don't like picking on me. Can you even read the email? Nope. But I know Days is picking on me. Make them top it. Average North Korean that works for the government works or looks like they are working because they could lose more than their job for being lazy. And if they are told to explain what they do every day, I'll bet they will write a 50-page single-spaced explanation of their job. You young lady are delusional. Well, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people need to go back into re-education camps. Fucking get smacked the fuck up. What we got? Megyn Kelly last month had 155 million views and we were 147 mil. A month of November, I beat all of them. Wait, what? Is she talking about the news media outlets?
I mean, I think your audience probably, I would guess, mostly voted for Trump, but I know lots of people who watch you and didn't. Do you worry that they can't trust you, that as you cover him going forward, that they'll kind of think you're in the tank?
No, not at all. I mean, our numbers are huge. Yeah. You know, I know you just had CNN on.
There's something interesting happening, especially after these words.
In January, last month, on their YouTube feed, they got 155 million views, and we were 147 million. Just me.
Yes, I am.
Is your cost structure slightly lower? Is that what you're...
Exactly. Well, I'm just saying that's one show, the Megyn Kelly show, just me and my 6 producers, versus every single show on CNN, every single thing they put on YouTube. I was within 6 or 7 million of them. The month of November, I beat them. I beat all of them. By the way, I beat NBC, I beat CBS, all of them regularly, the Sky News. November, I beat them all of them. ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, all of them. So I'm not having a trust issue.
I'm guessing that that venue they were at was heavily was an event for obviously the mainstream media people. The whether the shareholders or the CEOs of those places. Because Megyn Kelly was there.
Exactly. Well, I'm just saying.
Semaphore? Well, semaphore. Yeah. News website founded in 2012 by Ben Smith, a former editor-in-chief of BuzzFeed News. Intelligent, transparent global journalism. Uh-huh. Sure. How are you guys funded? Are you guys backed by certain people, right? Where's the... Ben Smith? New York Times. Oops. We got some shady people here. New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. Uh-oh. Washington Post. Oh, God. There we go. Okay. Whatever. I don't trust them. Let's see what's going on. Daryl Hannah stands with Ukraine at Oscars after Trump-Zelensky showdown.
Slava Ukraine.
Slava Ukraine.
A few moments later.
We should spend less time worrying about Putin and more time worrying about migrant gangs, drug lords, murderers, and people from the mental institutions entering our country. So that way... Jesus. Fucking Trump, dude.
I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America.
Send Hollywood to defend Ukraine. You wouldn't be able to, right? All of them are old. They've taken too many drugs, right? They're useless people. They'd fucking fucking they'd fucking roll over and die in a second. Zelensky is Trump's suka. Suka bliat. Also, Zelensky didn't really prove anything there. If anything, he botched it. Right? He didn't manipulate Trump to give him what he wanted. Trump just said, fuck you. I was like, well, whatever, we're out.
We are at a crossroads in history.
I mean, it's like, you say Zelensky or Trump is, or Zelensky is, wait, what did I say?
A moment for more talk.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer did not mince words on Sunday about the stakes facing Ukraine and Europe at a summit of world leaders in London.
It's time to act. Time to step up and lead.
The summit drew world leaders to support Ukraine and its president Volodymyr Zelensky in the 4th year since Russian forces invaded the neighboring country. Leaders hoped to work toward a peace plan that would end the fighting and guarantee future Ukrainian independence.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards.
But overhanging Sunday's
Hi,
summit was
Bromy. Yeah,
Friday's
sure.
fiery Oval Office face-off that appeared to shred.
You sound like you want to
relations
go to
between
jail.
Washington and Kiev.
You're gambling with World War III.
Years of staunch American support for Ukraine.
You
and its
sound
fight
like
against
you
the
wanted
Russian
to be
invasion appeared
shipped
to
off to the
evaporate
war
from US
zone
President Donald Trump, who returned to
and
the
be
White House
eaten
to
up by the
critical
war
of
machine.
Washington's support for Kiev, erupted in anger at Zelensky.
If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
I don't know why I fucking know about it. It's
Rather
fucking
than offering
Reuters.
support for an American ally valiantly resisting an unprovoked attack by its larger neighbor, Trump instead castigated the visiting leader, admonishing him to accept the difficult position his country was in. It ended with the visit cut short, and Trump posting on social media that Ukraine was not ready to make peace. The affair sent shockwaves through American allies and prompted pleased responses from American rivals.
Трамп, он прагматик. Вот это его лозунг «здравый смысл».
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov praised Trump's, quote, common sense approach.
Look,
The president of Finland
dream,
said the
I'm
only winner of
Elon
the
Musk.
dispute was Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
At the end of the day, there was only one winner of that exchange, that was Vladimir Putin. Having said all of that, probably a wake-up call. And, the conversations that I've had since in the past 72 hours are pretty much about, let's move on, let's get back on track, let's see what diplomacy can do. And I'm quite convinced that the meeting that we have here in London today is going to give us the first baby steps back to the table.
Our starting point must be to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position now.
Trying to revive hope for peace in Ukraine, Starmer on Sunday unveiled what he called a coalition of the willing, a group of nations willing to put personnel on the line to defend a peace deal if reached.
The UK is prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Together with others, Europe must do the heavy lifting.
And he announced a $2 billion deal to supply British-made air defense missiles to Ukraine.
I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the.
Yeah, I mean, Zelensky could have gotten, all that squared away with the U.S., right? We could have helped him, but nope. He fucking screwed the pooch on that one.
United States.
Trump has upended U.S. policy in the 3-year-old...
Like that mineral... I'm pretty sure that mineral deal that they were going to sign had some stipulations to where he was going to get, some defenses. But the motherfucker had to put on a show in front of the goddamn public. And now you get nothing.
Or since he returned to the White House in January, casting doubt on its military and political support for Ukraine and Europe, and ending the isolation of Moscow.
Yeah. Also, Zelensky, not even just Zelensky here just seems like he's barely even listening. He's like, whatever. It's like, dude, it doesn't put you in a good light, bro.
And ending the isolation.
Then again, he's
of
been
Moscow.
pushed around by probably Obama and Biden a lot, so it's Obama and Biden probably rolled over for him. Probably guaranteed some shit that was just not fucking good to guarantee. And look where we at now. Motherfucker acts like a baby trying to get more shit.
The first thing is that pretty much everything that most people have ever heard about hemisphere differences is wrong, and so they have to put that out of their minds.
Correct.
I was very much discouraged by my colleagues from going into this area because it was famously pop psychology and was now known to be quite wrong. But the fact that we'd answered the question wrongly didn't invalidate the question. It suggested to me having a better go at answering the question. And what I basically found out was that there's a good reason why all the neural nets and brains, a fortiori, have a kind of distinction between the two halves, are asymmetrical. And this even goes back 700 million years, at least we know that. And
basically your left brain and your right brain does, right? Both hemispheres of your brain do different things.
to manipulate the world to get stuff out of it, to grab things, to eat, to build a nest, all this sort of stuff. You need a very kind of precise attention to a detail that you already know what it is, you know you want it, you go and get it. Whereas if that's the only kind of attention you have, you soon fall prey to a predator. While you're getting your own meal, you become someone else's. And so you need a completely different kind of attention, which is broad, open, uncommitted as to what it might find.
Exactly. Right. This goes on to why certain animals adapt in certain environments to survive. And then once they get that adaptation, right, they're basically a new species.
Sustained, vigilant.
Or it's a species we haven't seen before. And we see that time and time again throughout the years.
To begin with, when I realized that the main difference between hemispheres was attention,
the very rare species we rarely see because they don't show themselves too often.
The penny didn't really drop immediately, because I've been trained in a cognitive paradigm whereby attention was just another brain function, but it isn't. It's much more than that. It's how the whole world that we experience comes into being. So what I mean by that is that depending on how you pay attention to something, you see something different there. And so the world that comes into being to meet your attention is in part generated by the kind of attention that you're already paying. And if you've got these two very different kinds of attention, you get two kinds of phenomenological worlds, in other words, experiential worlds. And what are they like? In the case of the left hemisphere, it's full of things that are known already. They're fixed, they're certain, they're detached, they're decontextualized, they're abstract, non-unique, and they are explicit. And that's what they are, and you know that you want to target it and get it. However, in the case of the right hemisphere, it's something completely different. It's a web in which nothing is ever completely separate from anything else, ultimately, in which nothing is ever completely certain, completely fixed. That doesn't mean chaos, it just means that there's room for maneuver, if you like. So this is a world in which there's subtlety, in which there is a lot that is implicit, is picked up by the right hemisphere. The left hemisphere doesn't understand the implicit messages that are so important.
Yeah, since both hemispheres of your brain do different things.
The right hemisphere's world is a living one,
connect to each other and trying to figure out what the hell's happening.
Hemisphere's one. It's one which has meaning and value in it. And so
I mean, he's just using the human brain as an
in the
analogy.
left hemisphere, and the world that is mapped in the right hemisphere. That's probably the easiest way to put it.
I see. And just to be sure, so the left, is that from me looking out, and that's my left?
The left is what you see when you look out. You know what your left hand is. The left hemisphere is the same side.
This would be my left hemisphere on my left.
That's right. But because of the way we're made, the left hemisphere governs the right side of the body, and the right hemisphere governs the left side of the body.
So it's reversed.
Well, how is that? So that's what's so strange for me, because obviously what you've explained is the left being quite stuck and not necessarily stuck, but okay, these are my fixed ideas, and the right being a little bit more fluid and nuanced.
Oh, absolutely.
And yet they're both responsible for controlling other sides of the body.
Sometimes.
Yes. So should my left side be slightly more nuanced?
Well, actually, there is an expression at the motor level, but I'm really talking at a much higher level than that of motority. But for example, the left hemisphere governs the right hand with which we do the grabbing, most of us, and the manipulating of things. And in fact, when people...
Well, it'd be dependent on which hand you're dominant.
People have damage to the brain in such a way that the natural function of that hemisphere is liberated. They randomly grab stuff with their right hand, even if they're just kind of grabbing stuff that's in the environment all the time. Whereas the left hand, if it is released in the same way, it does exploratory movements as though it's feeling its way to something and touching it and finding it.
Wow. That is incredible. I find all of this absolutely incredible.
Yeah, because
I do need to ask you.
Yeah,
because
as since different parts,
of my show,
how you perceive the world,
culture
depends
issues,
on
culture wars and those kinds of things.
How your brain operates.
Yeah, let's go there.
Well, great. Then how how does it? Let's be as controversial as possible. How does it influence the kind of culture wars that we're seeing at the moment?
Oh no,
well,
not the
it's not just
culture
the
wars.
culture wars, but I will come to that. But it's the way we see.
Well,
the world
I would
in
say
general
information
now,
wars,
which is a very simplified model, a reductionist, materialist model, in which there's lumps of stuff that have no meaning or purpose in themselves, that are pushed about in a sort of random way, colliding with one another, and that this produces.
It's like when people talk about politics on the online space, and you just see people fucking colliding.
There's a mechanistic world in which there is no real life. Life is a sort of a sort of artifactual emergence from mechanism, which nobody has been able to explain, and I don't believe.
Oh, that sounds like people
so
in politics.
When it comes to the culture wars,
they
some of
can't
these
convey their
differences
thoughts
come out.
perfectly.
So, for example, one of the things one finds
Do
is
you
extreme
want-
positions being adopted.
Are you asking for
because the
people to
left
get
hemisphere
killed? Is that
doesn't
what
do
you want?
nuance.
Oh.
It's either this or it's that. There's a famous picture which Wittgenstein used in his philosophy, which was derived from a Victorian children's book, which shows what's called a duck rabbit. If you look at it one way, it looks like a duck. If you look at it another, it looks like a rabbit.
Yeah.
And the left hemisphere is like, well, come on, is it a duck or is it a rabbit? Whereas the right hemisphere is going, mate, it's a duck rabbit.
I think mine said it was a horse's head.
It reminds you of the horse's head?
Yeah, mine was just a horse. When I saw that picture, I'm seeing a horse.
Oh, really?
I think so. Or maybe that's. I think I've got a third brain.
You've got a third brain in there, Andrew.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
No, really, what I'm saying is that any subtlety, any nuance, anything that comes from context, and context alters everything.
Correct.
Everything that comes from the realm.
Right. If you were to give people a clip of what Trump and Zelensky went through. Right, and take a small clip of just Trump railing Zelensky. Yeah, that would look real bad on Trump's end, right? Or the other way around
is missed, and the realm of the implicit, by the way, includes
because there were
we
definitely
really value.
times Zelensky had said some interesting things.
For instance, the beauty of nature, poetry, music, narrative, myth, ritual, sex, love, the divine. All these things remain implicit. They can be made explicit, but when they're made explicit, they change their nature and they become less than they were. And they may become completely other than they were.
Yeah, basically, if you're going to talk to someone who doesn't know a lick about, whether it's religion, sports, or anything like that, they'll just play along with it because they don't know. Or maybe they'll say, oh, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, right?
I sometimes have this little jokey thing, but it just illustrates very nicely how the context changes the meaning radically. So in America, there are 4 sizes of cereal.
Yeah, whereas you talk to someone who's seen the same things you have, now you both have context to what you guys are talking about.
There is jumbo, which means...
Or at least if you saw, if one person saw just a little bit of... the contextual thing, it would just give enough.
Large. Then there is,
or basically
economy,
a conversation,
which means large. Then there is family, which means medium, and finally there's large, which means small. So the context changes the meaning of everything. And what's worrying, of course, is that on social media, things are taken out of context, remarks are taken out of context. They may have meant something very different.
Someone paraphrases something, and it's just completely out of context.
Also, the right hemisphere is much better at something called theory of mind, which basically means understanding what's going on in somebody else's mind. So the left hemisphere is not skilled at this. And so
basically critical thinking.
What is really intended by someone, especially if there's any hint of irony, humor, a metaphor
satire,
being used. They're all taken terribly literally. I see this all around me. I mean, humor is almost dead now. You can't make any jokes. I feel so sorry for comedians. And I also feel sorry for us all. Because frankly, humor is
kind
the
of
stuff
dead
of
inside
life.
too.
If you lose your sense of humor and can't find things
it's not
funny,
really that,
you've
but
lost a lot.
I have
a certain degree of
a
life,
morbid
and you've certainly
outlook
lost
on
a sense of
humanity,
proportion, which again,
just
very obviously has gone amiss in the culture wars. There is no sense of proportion.
And is this because we've moved towards focusing more on the left hemisphere?
Well, it's because we've become more reliant on it, and there are various reasons why that may happen. I think it happens inevitably in a civilization after only a few hundred years. You can see it in certainly the ones that I know about, the Greek and the Roman, and in ours since the Renaissance. And it's strange, but the philosopher A.N. Whitehead said the civilization is in its finest flower before it begins to analyze itself.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is that if you're brought up in contact with nature, in a living tradition that is that of your culture, if you most probably go to a church where various things are imaged in ritual, in metaphorical language, in music, in pictures, this conveys things to you in a subtle way which you know in your heart to be true. So when you start to have a kind of legalistic argument about the nature of things, you're also very well embedded in an intuitive understanding of what's going on. But I think in the modern world, we've lost that embedding in any intuitive thing that would allow us to sense meaning. And so we argue about the nature of things. And if you do, you must be not contradicting yourself. Nowadays, the worst thing you can do is to appear to contradict yourself. But actually, since truth is complex, many-faceted, and there are different points of view.
Exactly. Truth is complex and many-faceted. No one wants to delve deep into the nuances of what's actually causing an issue to happen, right? Right, nobody wants to delve deep into actually fixing the fucking problem. Instead, we only fix the superficial bullshit that doesn't really fix anything.
Each of which may have something to be said for them. There's no place in this culture for that much more wise, deep, and reasonable way of talking, in which, yes, on the one hand, there's something in that, but what about this? And we've just lost that. We have to go for a single, very simple, black and white message, and most of those that go on in the culture wars are the most ridiculous examples of this taken to an extreme.
They boil it down to a weird generalization that literally does not apply to everybody. So now you just blanket statement the whole world in a sense. And now you want people to conform to your weird blanket statement. Like, nah, get the fuck out of here, dude.
What? Do you have an example in mind?
Do I have an example in mind?
Are you concerned I'm tricking you into saying controversial things?
You are, yes. I'm going to resist it because I think every listener will have examples that they know. They won't be puzzled by my remark.
I'm intrigued. I wonder which each has.
The different left hemispheres of the divided brain are stoking the culture wars and leading to deluded world. I mean, I can say a few movements, but I don't want to. As a psychiatrist, writer, and former Oxford literary scholar, McGilchrist came to prominence after the publication of the book The Master and His Emissary, subtitled The Divided Brain and the Making of the Western World. Today he speaks of how art and beauty are fighting a losing battle due to the traits of one hemisphere of our brain. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see this on, certain... I gotta say, fucking social media, right? You see this a lot. Where people just make the most dentage fucking comment ever. It's like, dude, did you just read your... When you typed out that comment and press enter, did you really say what you just said? View their political enemies subhuman, and therefore they comfortably preclude themselves from empathy. Yeah. Right. You objectify your enemy so much that you then invalidate invalidate the opinion of that person because you decided to be a judgmental asshole. Now, the saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Isaac Asimov. Saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Yeah, I can kind of see that. I mean, you can kind of see that with what fucking happened with Zelensky and Trump and JD Vance. Yikes. Or streamers, right? Fucking content creators. Like, Jesus Christ. Content. Are you gonna swing that political tool all around like that? Nothing is self-evident, then nothing can be proved. People today will have exhaustive arguments about defining this and that. True. Even self-evident things like biological sex, and then say, define a chair for me. What is a woman? What is a man? To argue about how you can't define. Oh shit! Yeah, I know, right? Ugh. My mom often said people don't see the world as it is, but how they are. These people have a very warped view of themselves and the world. I can probably talk about one group. Transhumanism. Anyways. But yeah. You want to check Heretics clips? Probably has a main channel, because this doesn't look like a main channel. What is this?
The U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war, and they will have to fight.
What do you mean? We do send our soldiers out in the fucking...
They will be dying.
Into hellhole. What are you talking? You literally have a bunch of soldiers on fucking military bases all in NATO right now. Like, what are you talking about? You literally have the NATO countries have, right, assets. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Article 6 overrides Article 5 since Ukraine is not a NATO member. Yeah, also, Ukraine only has, like, what was it, a peace treaty with NATO? So probably a treaty saying that NATO will help if shit hits the fan. Fuck you. America first, motherfuckers. Oh, Jesus. God. Why does it look like Trump has two wedges shown to? Fucking Elon Musk's arm is too close to fucking Trump. God, this one. Alright, anyways. I guess they don't need us then. To all of you wannabe tough guy MAGA cunts, feeling all superior to the rest of the world, one Finnish reservist is worth at least 20 of you lose. Wait, wasn't this the same Finnish group of infantrymen that were like dancing like a bunch of girls? I was about to say something way more Way more harsh. God damn it. Did they just attack? I just noticed they like threw something at him. Oh, he tripped. Oh, that's what happened. I was like, what? He was trying to run too with his dog, and they just fucking snatched him. No, I don't know if that's a new crane, but doesn't look too good, right? I mean, there's tons of videos. Also, I feel like some of these videos are old, right? Oh, actually, this one's pretty recent. But there were some older videos in the past when all that shit took place. I gotta watch out. Because I was gonna see if there's like anything new. Oscars robbed, blocked by James, Ukraine, and Russia. Oh wait, the Oscars are live right now? What the fuck? I had no idea. Repost if you wish. Ricky Garvis was hosting the Oscars tonight. Oh, he's not. Mikey Madison, but Demi Moore was robbed. The Oscars winner, highest paid actor in history, Zelensky. Parents are like talking. Said my name, so I was like, huh? Doja Cat covers Diamonds Are Forever. Oh, I can't. Yeah, I can't play a lot of this stuff from fucking Oscars because it's probably copyrighted. I'd get my ass shit canned if I upload it onto YouTube. But yeah. Lisa Oscars performer sings "Live and Let Die." Oh, the James Bond. Oh yeah, some of those people were in James Bond. That's why. Yeah. "2025 Oscars were actually great." The Brutalist. Adrian Brody wins Best Actor. What was The Brutalist? Drama history. Escaping post-war Europe. Oh, okay. A visionary architect comes to America to rebuild his life, his career, and his marriage. On his own in a strange new country, he settles in Pennsylvania, where a wealthy and prominent industrialist recognizes his talent. Ah. So another man, we've had so many movies, or well, the theme. So many themes of this kind of movie. Right, post-war shit. What does it say here? Zelensky informs the EU that his refusal to work with the US to end the war will require them to pay $250 billion to keep the war going. Wait, did he really say this?
Money, good. Give us 250 billions, which are here in Europe, frozen Russian assets. No answer.
Wait, what?
Money, good. Give us 250 billions, which are here in Europe, frozen Russian assets.
So basically, he wants to take the the sanctioned Russian assets, and Zelensky wants it instead. It's like, what are you talking? Please give us more money for the war. Bravo, Ukraine. Opachki. Fucking crazy bastard. He definitely wants fucking, right, he literally wants the US in his fucking shit show. You can stop the tram at any moment, but you refuse because you need guarantees that it won't start moving again in a few years. Now use this image, replace Zelensky's name with yours and all the people, workers you fire for your monetary gain. What do you mean? You guys were siphoning money to do fuck all with it. We don't even know what the fuck happened to that money. Money printer go burr, right? Russia and US should become allies for world peace. Would you give up your rights to your country resources in exchange for vague non-assurances? Please explain what America was offering. Well, I mean, you could say the same thing with the fucking Mr. Ukraine buddy over there. What was he going to give us any guarantees he was going to follow through? Because that meeting seemed like he had other fucking plans. You can stop the tram at any moment, but you refuse, Putin. I like how some of these people are missing the fact that NATO expanded way too much. Right. They have no concern of what actually some of those countries have been trying to fucking do. It's like they're trying to steal land from Putin. You fucking keep encroaching, you know, keep putting up a border like that. He's gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing? Robbed. USAID has officially shut down its headquarters. In other words, President Trump and Elon Musk have toppled the greatest terrorist organization on the planet in human history. Barack Obama toppled the democratically elected government of Ukraine in 2014. Lindsey Graham's dead wife, John McCain, organized protesters, and Victoria Nuland busted on tape planning Ukraine's new puppet government. I think that's Colonial Richard Black. In 2014, Barack Obama toppled the Colonial, this guy. The Obama admin, Anthony Blinken, Victoria Nuland, Susan Rice. Handpicked puppets in the new government, and those puppets persecuted Russian-speaking people in Ukraine. Oh yeah, you forgot about the Russian-speaking population in Ukraine that fucking Zelensky tried to do some shady shit with. And that's why fucking some of those guys didn't want to fucking deal with Zelensky and decided to go with Russia, right? So you obviously have other factions being kind of upset with Zelensky there. Now arrest Anthony Blinken, Victoria Nuland, Susan Rice in violation of the Logan Act, including USAID recipient A. Vindman, who was offered no pardon for treason. Yeah, we saw this yesterday.
As the point where the war started, when President Barack Obama gave the go-ahead to conduct a coup and to overthrow the duly elected government of
Ukraine,
President Yanukovych
yep.
In Kiev. As a very violent.
Yeah, before fucking Zelensky was Yanukovych, right? Fucking. Viktor Yanukovych. I spelled his fucking name wrong because I'm not goddamn Ukrainian. Russian politician, Ukrainian and Russian politician who served as the fourth president of Ukraine from 2010 to 2014. He also served as the prime minister of Ukraine several times between 2002 and 2007. Yeah, basically, he got pushed out for Putin. And apparently Yanukovych was pretty friendly with Putin.
Revolution. The U.S. State Department and the Central Intelligence Agency were involved, as well as British MI6. We overthrew the government. We literally handpicked many of the officials who would take over and be part of the revolutionary junta. And as soon as the revolutionaries had taken over in Kiev, they changed the Constitution. The Constitution had said that the first language of Ukraine was Ukrainian, and the second language was Russian.
Mm-hmm.
They deleted Russian as a second language, essentially making all the Russian-speaking people a sort of second-class citizens. And so this was
kind of sounds like what U.S. is trying to do.
This was a major problem. And
with all the
that's
fucking
the reason
immigrants.
that you had Crimea and the Donbass declare their independence. They had much more reason to declare independence than the colonies did in North America when they rose up against the King of England and became the United States. If someone had told the colonists that they could no longer speak English, they now had to speak French, I think it would have been a much more energized revolution.
Much more energized revolution, yep.
As the
Yeah, we never decided to pick French. Instead, we went with English. Right, especially with all the help from France and right back then. I mean, that's sort of why we still have kind of a good relationship with some of these people. Because of all the shit that happened back then. Ooh. What was here? Oh, okay. We were doing the raw pick. Okay. The Ukrainian war in 2022 would never have started if they hadn't overthrown the United States government in 2020.
If he had been the president, if the victory wasn't stolen from him in 2020, maybe the Ukrainian crisis that arose in 2022 would have never appeared.
Now, I don't know how much of this is real. Right, but that's what Putin said. That's what Putin said. I mean, that's why fucking Trump has been repeating what what he's been saying. You think fucking Putin's gonna fucking talk to Zelensky like fucking no? He'd rather talk to someone who's going to mediate than fucking someone who's fucking obviously at odds with. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, she's a fucking Rob Schneider too. Fucking Rob Schneider is getting it on this shit too. Oh my god. Dude, ever since fucking Elon Musk said that shit. Oh, fuck it. That guy, man. Yeah, what have you got in you about, you fucking weirdo? Hey, it's Rocky. Your hair, you're a fucking weirdo. You know that? Well, why don't you drool over fucking Matt Gaetz? Or Trump, you fucking weirdo. Or JD Vance. Ukraine and Russia. Oh, is that when he was an actor? This video is from a Russian...
Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, unlawful president. His dream always was to be like Putin. Zelensky's idol is Vladimir Putin. Zelensky always lived in Moscow. He always wanted to get to this high-end society. This is just a boy whose dream became true. He's a comedian. Here's some photographs of him being comedian. He always lived in Moscow. Zelensky lived and worked in Moscow. I don't know why Ukrainians are super supportive of him. Just because they made a movie where Zelensky was a superstar and there was a movie where he's a president. They did this movie on purpose. So people are like, oh, this is a good idea for him to be a president. It's marketing. He's an actor, comedian. He used to be
I don't know.
And he was, when he was on the stage, the best of honor for him was when Putin was watching him. There was a
this is
show.
what I think is happening is, since Zelensky is a good actor, I feel like he's trying to play Putin's character, right?
In Russia, that's called KVN. How I know?
But
because I'm a
he
singer,
doesn't
I
know
was
how to
also
play
there
Putin
singing there
because he's
for
not
the
Putin.
record, okay? And when you're saying that Zelensky is so good for Ukraine, this person has nothing to do good with Ukraine or Ukrainian people. He was also LGBTQ music band participant. I'm not saying that it's bad, whatever. The music is cool, actually. I loved it when I was younger. And if you Google Kazaki music band, exactly how it is, on the screenshot, you can watch his music video. You can screenshot.
Uh-oh. Should we do it? She says it. She says it right there. Oh God. No. What the fuck am I watching? Wait. Having no audio without any.
And exactly how it is. On the screenshot, you can watch his music videos, and he's dancing there on a pole dance boots. So what my point is, this.
Okay, so she says that she says that he's dancing in some of these. Oh shit. Dude, this is some weird shit. I don't. What is this? Fuck me. What is this shit? I don't like this. What is happening? Is Zelensky even in here? What the fuck? Oh, right here. Is this the one? Oh! Was that him right there? That looks like him a little bit. Is that him? I can't tell because he has the fucking beard. What the? What? Is that him? Oh. What am I watching? Is this him, dude? Oh, oh God. Pain. Dude, that looks like yeah, I get it. What the fuck is happening?
Younger, and if you Google Kazaki music band, exactly how it is, on the screenshot, you can watch his music.
God damn. I don't like that. Fuck. It literally looks like him. Yeah. So is this when he was younger? God damn. Oh, I need to fucking swallow some bleach, I think. God damn. No, I think. Does this have Zelensky? Because I only saw the one song that has him in there. Oh, God, I can't. I don't want to. This is so fucking strange. I hate it. I don't want to look at this shit anymore, but. It's for the research. So yeah, that clearly looks like Zelensky. But I think he, because I think at first he wasn't a part of the group. Right. But then uh uh Yeah, so... Okay, so this is sort of the same one. Right? God damn it, I have to pause because it's weird. Yeah, and then... Right, and then we go back to... Is this AI? Because it's like... No, this can't be AI. Because this looks way different, right? This is way different. Right, how this started is different. So this must be real. Produced in 2014, the pop group Hazaki with Ukrainian President Zelensky and 3 other men dance and hike. What the fuck? It... I don't... I think he just did a special song with these people in 2014. Because there's only one instance of him, right, doing some form of song. What the fuck am I watching? I can't believe I just watched that. Oh, pain.
Music videos, and he's dancing there on a pole dance boots. So what my point is, this person always wanted to be up high over there with all possible ways. He will not stop from getting what he wants, regardless of the way it should be. If he needs to sell his mom, how we say in Russian language, there is a saying, like some person who will sell their mom just to get what they want. He's that kind of person. All your money that you are donating to Ukraine goes to his pocket and his friends' pockets. None of my friends in Ukraine received nothing in all this time. Nobody got one piece of bread from the billions you Americans sent.
Oh, well, there you go. Jesus. Jeffrey Sachs schools the EU Parliament on the reasons behind the Russian-Ukraine conflict.
Of Russia. What was Putin's intention in the war?
I think we already saw this yesterday.
Propaganda that's written about this. Oh, that they failed and he was going to take over Ukraine. The idea was to keep NATO, and what is NATO? It's the United States, off of Russia's border. No more, no less. When the Soviet Union
but you started to encroach on the border. Literally.
And an agreement was made that NATO will not move 1 inch eastward. Now, what happened after 1991, the United States decided there would be no end to eastward enlargement of NATO. And the decision was taken formally in 1994 when President Clinton signed off on NATO enlargement to the east, all the way to Ukraine and into Georgia. So the NATO enlargement, as you know, started in 1999.
That's why everyone has problems with Clinton.
And Russia was extremely unhappy about it.
And their foundation.
But these were countries still far from the border. So the next round of NATO enlargement came in 2004. With the 3 Baltic states.
That's
Romania,
why everyone's
Bulgaria,
thinking Clinton's
Slovenia,
a warmonger and everything.
At this point, Russia was pretty upset. So as everybody recalls, in 2007,
that's why nobody
Putin said,
liked
"Stop.
Clinton
Enough."
to be
and of course,
right.
What that
They didn't
meant
want
was
Hillary
in
Clinton as
2008,
president.
The United States
they didn't want
jammed
Kamala
down
as
Europe's throat
president.
Enlargement of NATO to Ukraine and to Georgia. This is right up.
Oh yeah,
against
Georgia, right
Russia.
there. Yep.
And Russia protested because if Russia decided to have a military base on the Rio Grande or the Canadian border, not only would the United States freak out, we'd have war within about 10 minutes. And a month later, a war broke out.
Yep.
That gets Georgia destroyed. And starting in 2010, the U.S. put in Aegis missile systems in Poland and then in Romania. And Russia doesn't like that. In 2010, Viktor Yanukovych was elected on the platform of neutrality. Russia had no territorial interests or designs in Ukraine at all. What Russia was negotiating was a 25-year lease for Sevastopol Naval Base. That's it. Not for Crimea, not for the Donbass, nothing. In 2014,
Yep, all for
the
a
U.S.
fucking
worked
base.
actively to overthrow Yanukovych. Everybody knows the phone call by my Columbia University colleague, Victoria Nuland, and the U.S. Ambassador Peter Piot. Listen to it. It's fascinating.
I don't think Cleach should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea. I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience, and, fuck the EU.
No, exactly. And I think we've got to do something to make...
You don't get better evidence.
Fuck the EU. She clearly said fuck the EU.
Then came Minsk, and especially Minsk II. It said there should be autonomy for the Russian-speaking regions in the east of Ukraine. It was supported unanimously by the UN Security Council. The United States and Ukraine decided it was not to be enforced. There were many thousands of deaths in the shelling by Ukraine in the Donbass. And one of the issues on the table in December 2021, January 2022, was, does the United States claim the right to put missile systems in Ukraine? And Blinken told Lavrov in January 2022, the United States reserves the right to put missile systems wherever it wants.
Blinken.
So the war started. What was Putin's intention in the war? It was to force Zelensky to negotiate neutrality. And that happened within 7 days of the start of the invasion. Ukraine walked away unilaterally from a near agreement. Why? Because the United States told them to. The idea was that there would be Ukraine, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey, and Georgia that would deprive Russia of any international status by blocking the Black Sea. And the American senators, who are as nasty and cynical and corrupt as imaginable, say this is wonderful expenditure of our money because no Americans are dying. It's the pure proxy war. And since the U.S. talked the negotiators away from the table,
Romania is being used too
have died
as a
or been
political
severely
tool. And there's obviously some Romanians who know about that shit. That whole region is just a proxy tool to make sure that we have eyes. Well, at least during Biden and fucking Obama, right? I don't know what fucking Trump plans to do. I mean, probably Trump had a say in a little of this too, since he's the president. But obviously, he's not going to say any of that information. Right? As you can tell, President Trump has been keeping a lot of cards to his chest. But at the same time, he's been a little irrational. But yeah, I mean,
in the war, not overthrow Yanukovych. Everybody knows the phone call by my Columbia University colleague, Victoria.
All right, I mean, we can look up the phone call. What was it? What was the college? Columbia. Here it is.
Talking about diplomatic efforts in Ukraine, the last thing you want to do is drop your guard.
So that would be great, I think, to help glue this thing and have the UN help glue it. And, the EU.
But that is exactly what reportedly happened between US Assistant Secretary of State Victoria Nuland and US Ambassador to Ukraine Jeffrey Pyatt. The exchange has since surfaced online, including the crude swipe at the European Union. The audio clip of a woman and man, said to be Newland and Pyatt, hears them discussing strategies to work with the three main opposition figures.
I don't think Cleach should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea.
In terms of him not going into the government, just let him sort of stay out and do his political homework and stuff. I'm just thinking in terms of sort of the process moving ahead, we want to keep the moderate Democrats together. The problem is going to be Tony Book and his guys. And, I'm sure that's part of what Yanukovych is calculating on all of this.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, what he needs is Cleach and Tony Book on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week. I just think Cleach going in, he's going to be at that level working for Yatsenyuk. It's just not going to work.
There is a suggestion for Newland to contact Klitschko directly to play to his top dog sensibilities, while Newland refers to getting the United Nations involved in a political solution. And that's where the unfortunate comment arises.
I'm obviously not going to comment on private
Fuck the EU.
diplomatic conversations. Other than to say,
even though you
it was pretty impressive.
Even though you got caught saying some shady shit.
Tradecraft, the audio was extremely clear. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. We're here from America. Would you like some bread? Please take something.
Thank you for coming. This was Newland and Pyatt visiting Independence Square in Kiev in December, handing out food to protesters and police. This latest episode is embarrassing for the US and allows Russia to argue that the opposition is being manipulated by Washington, something that Barack Obama has always denied. The clip was said to have been posted online by the Russian
obviously Barack Obama's not going to fucking tell you the truth.
TPM, but that has not yet been confirmed.
Oh, there you go. Is there... Is there like the full recorded conversation?
What do you think?
Oh yeah, here it is.
I think we're in play. The Klitschko piece is obviously the complicated electron here. Especially the announcement of him as deputy prime minister. And you've seen some of my notes on the troubles in the marriage right now. So we're trying to get a read really fast on where he is on this stuff. But I think your argument to him, which you'll need to make, I think that's the next phone call we want to set up, is exactly the one you made to Yachts. And I'm glad you sort of put him on the spot on where he fits in this scenario. And I'm very glad he said what he said in response.
Good. So I don't think Cleach should go into the government. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you think, what in terms of him not going into the government, just let him sort of stay out and do his political homework and stuff. I'm just thinking in terms of sort of the process moving ahead, we want to keep the moderate Democrats together. The problem is going to be Tony Book and his guys. And, I'm sure that's part of what Yanukovych is calculating on all of this.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, what he needs is Cleach and Tony Book on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week. I just think Cleach going in, he's going to be at that level working for Yatsenyuk. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Okay. Good. Well, do you want us to try to set up a call with him as the next step?
My understanding from that call, but you tell me, was that the big three were going into their own meeting and that Yats was going to offer in that context a three-way, the 3+1 conversation or 3+2 with you. Is that not how you understood it?
No, I mean, that's what he proposed, but I think just knowing the dynamic that's been with them where Klitschko has been the top dog. He's going to take a while to show up for whatever meeting they've got, and he's probably talking to his guys at this point. So I think you reaching out directly to him helps with the personality management among the three, and it gives you also a chance to move fast on all this stuff and put up.
As you can tell, they're trying to play right. They're playing PR, right? Public relations.
That's behind it before they all sit down and he explains.
This is what fucking
Okay, good.
politicians
I'm happy.
do.
Why don't you reach out to him and see if he wants to talk before or after?
Okay, will do. Thanks.
Okay, I've now written. Oh, one more wrinkle for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I told you this or if I only told Washington this, that when I talked to Jeff Feltman this morning, he had a new name for the UN guy, Robert Seri. Did I write you that this morning?
Yeah,
okay.
I saw that.
He's now gotten both Seri and Ban Ki-moon to agree that Seri could come in Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So that would be great, I think, to help glue this thing and have the UN help glue it. And, fuck the EU.
No, exactly. And I think we've got to do something to make it stick together, because you can be pretty sure that if it does start to gain out.
As you can see, they cut EU out of the deal. Instead, let the UN right into the deal for some reason.
The Russians will be working behind the scenes to try to torpedo it. And again, the fact that this is out there right now, I'm still trying to figure out in my mind why Yanukovych did that. But in the meantime, there's a Party of Regions faction meeting going on right now, and I'm sure there's a lively argument going on in that group at this point. But anyway, we could land jelly side up on this one if we move fast. So let me work on Klitschko, and if you can just keep, I think we want to try to get somebody with an international personality to come out here and help to midwife this thing. And then the other issue is some kind of outreach to Yanukovych, but we can probably regroup on that tomorrow as we see how things start to fall into place.
So on that piece, Jeff, when I wrote the note, Sullivan's come back to me, VFR, saying you need Biden, and I said probably tomorrow for an attaboy and to get the deets to stick. So
Okay.
Biden's willing.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thanks.
Oops. Yeah, Biden's willing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Huh. Well, yeah, there it goes. That was the audio. So, yes, this goes back way deeper. Right. In the 1990s. At least that's when it started moving. You shouldn't have done what you did back then, and now Putin's kind of upset. And all Putin wanted was just to set up a military base. But everyone, right, that whole place was like, nah, we're gonna take all that land instead. And then you fight with Georgia. It's like, and Ukraine. Oh, okay. Well, here we go. Fucking self-inflicted wounds. Let's get this fucking Kazaki bullshit out the fuck. I never want to see that again. Jesus. Blocked by James. First email defense? Oh. Man, get stuffed. Boom! Get fucked. Oh. Oh, was he trying to call foul? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was trying to call. Yeah, no, he didn't hit. No. No, he hit the board. He hit the ball on the board, so it's clean. Look, I know everybody wants to give LeBron James shit because he does some shady shit sometimes, but yeah, no, that one was clean. Flocked by James. Boop. Anyways. Lindsey Graham on February 14th, before Trump's meeting with Zelensky versus Feb 28th, after Trump's meeting with Zelensky. Oh, no.
I want to tell you and your people, you're the ally I've been hoping for all my life. Not one American has died defending Ukraine. You've taken our weapons and you've kicked their ass. And I'm very proud to have you as our ally.
I don't know if we can ever do business with Zelensky again. I think most Americans saw a guy that they would not want to go in business with. The way he handled the meeting, the way he confronted the president was just over the top. So I think the relationship between Ukraine and America is important, vitally important. But can Zelensky do a deal with the United States? After what I saw, I don't know.
I want to tell you and your...
Has never led a war he didn't like. There is definitely some ulterior motive for his sudden turn on Zelensky. I don't know what it is, but there's something. Yeah, Lindsey Graham turning like this is a little weird. Because he yes. Oh, sorry. My brother was asking me a question about some mail that's apparently missing. Hmm. Oh, let's see. Oh yeah, there's this picture, right? Jovanovic. New Year's Eve 2016, just 22 days before Trump is sworn in. He knows this even when he is not on the radar yet. Second Graham is highly invested in rare earth minerals. He sees the path to his wealth is through Trump. Yeah, I mean, that could be the reason, right? Right, for him to flip like that, it could be the minerals. Could be the money. Cha-ching, right? Gotta fucking get that war machine going, right? President Trump, I refuse to bend the knee to their next endless war in Ukraine. I want peace. They want money. And they want conflict. Even if it means walking us to the brink of WW3. President Trump is on a mission to bring world peace. Actual F. UK prepared to back this with boots on the ground and planes in the air. Insane EU war profiteers are hell-bent on a kinetic World War III. People are no longer our allies. Hell-bent on starting World War III.
Exactly the same way as we, the U.S. will have to send their sons and daughters exactly the same way as we are sending their sons and daughters to war, and they will have to fight.
You say that, but there have been U.S. volunteers that actually went to help. So it's like, I don't know. This guy, Does it? There's no way a politician. I guess he doesn't know how to get into a certain stance. Too green. He's not a fighter. He's just a bureaucratic fuckhead. Fucking those pussy punch. Dude, that dude would fucking fall over in a second if someone actually fought him. Oh God. Best actress. Demi Moore. Was robbed, but at least a white heterosexual real woman won Best Actress at the Oscars.
Madison.
Mikey Madison.
Mikey Madison.
This is the first Oscar win and
Is that supposed to be a jab at all of these people? No, like, oh. I know I shouldn't care, but I really rooting for Demi Moore to win Best Actress for The Substance. Best Dress on the Oscars. I think Demi Moore was caught up in some controversy with certain like P. Diddy and shit. Oh. Substance? Amelia Perez loses Best Picture. Amelia Perez loses Best Actress. Amelia Perez loses Best Supporting Actress. Amelia. Asian Guy 5. What the fuck? So, Carla Sofia Gascon. Oh, she was in the Narco series. Oh, that makes sense. Huge upset. Youngster Mikey Madison wins Best Actress in Leading Role at the Oscars. Or Anora. Anyways, World War III, NATO, World War III, Bitcoin. What's going on here? World War III, you have three choices. That is a peace agreement, a prolonged stagnant war that drags on for years, costing countless more lives, or World War III. Yeah, basically. Has lit the fuse for beginning of World War III. Is gone from prancing on stage in high heels to selling jokes in comedy clubs to president of a corrupt government to a full-fledged dictator. It's time for the United States to leave NATO so that we would not be required to participate in. I forgot if what was their name? Adam Smith talked about the whole I think he did about the phone call that they had. Can't remember. Did you catch that?
How can I, if I am to be changed, and I'll hear, how can I put it? With what's happening with the support to change me, it will not be easy, because it is not enough to simply hold elections. You would need to prevent me from participating in the elections. And it will be a bit more difficult, so...
Wait, what is he talking about? Oh, because of his one statement being like, "Oh, I'll gladly give up my seat," but I want Ukraine to be a part of NATO if I give up my seat or some shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you talking about?
They'll have to negotiate with me, and I said that I'm exchanging it for NATO membership.
Yeah, basically he was all like, "Oh, let me do the elections and trade out my candidacy for fucking NATO." It's like, what are you talking? How does that work? That doesn't. What? Get the fuck out of there.
And then it means that I fulfilled my mission. There is NATO. It means I've fulfilled my mission. If I am to be changed, and I'll hear, how can I put it?
His mission is to get into NATO. Right? It was never about peace. It was always about NATO. Did you catch that? Zelensky admits that if Ukraine gets NATO membership, then he has fulfilled his mission. His mission is not govern Ukraine. His mission is NATO membership for Ukraine, which would immediately trigger World War III. Exactly. The reason this mission is World War III is because that the only scenario there where he might survive is only way is if NATO comes in and takes over the fight with Russia directly. That's his plan, but realistically, he would need the U.S. in order to pull that off. Well, yeah. Zelensky and his deep state handler are literally trying to initiate a full-scale World War III in an effort to cover up the largest money laundering scheme in history. The crimes against humanities for bioweapon development, that's what we are witnessing. What? Bioweapon? That's kind of fucking... That's kind of a leap there. This is not about Ukrainian sovereignty. This is about covering up unfathomable criminality. Oh, are you saying they're doing, like, bioweapons research and development? I guess that's what he's saying. I mean, that's kind of a stretch. Because of the whole Geneva Convention and everything, if people were to find out that people were making bioweapons and shit, everybody would be targeting that place being like, get rid of this motherfucker now. Right? Because a bioweapon could take out the whole world, and that's not something you want. It'd be awesome if the U.S. agreed to allow Ukraine into NATO. Shortly thereafter, the U.S. can announce they are leaving NATO. Unfortunately, we can't just back out like that. We spent too much investment in NATO. Because we also were the ones who wanted NATO in a sense. Right, and we wanted NATO to make sure, hey, we need you to make sure this region is okay. And you need to report back to us if shit happens. But yeah, instead, NATO has decided to change their ways and, right, they don't work for the US anymore, right? They work for the EU now. Deep State puppet whose mission is to start World War III. I mean, that's what it sounds like, given that fucking telephone call from Those people, right? The Obama administration, right? These people, Lincoln and everyone. Vin Newland, right? So you have those people to thank. Fucking these fucking idiots. Because they've never changed their game plan ever since Obama. Right, or ever since NATO expansion. They never changed their stance. They've been on the same path for what? 1990s? Alright, so like 30 years. More than 30 years, right? They're not gonna change their ways now. That's for sure. After they've been gunning it for 30 years trying to get it done. More Bitcoin. Uh-oh. Bitcoin is the foundation of the crypto economy. And obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum as other value will be at the heart of the reserve. Oh god. Also love Bitcoin. Oh god. Why? A U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks of the Biden admin. Which is why my executive order on digital assets directed the President Working Group to move forward on crypto strategic reserves, including XRP, Solana, and ADA. I will make sure the U.S. is the crypto capital of the world. We are making America great again, so it looks like he wants to try and invest in crypto. That's probably why the increase over, right, why it fucking went up like 40 or 50K, right? Because Trump was pushing to do stuff like this, apparently. All the investment. La migra.
For quiet hours on the border, one migrant was apprehended and fought back tears as he was met by 6 federal agents who were likely to kick him back to Mexico within the same day.
So the US border looks very different now than it did just a few months ago when thousands of people per day were entering America. But that's changed, and many unlawful immigrants find they're outnumbered, quickly apprehended, and immediately returned to Mexico, which in some cases puts people in an even more desperate situation than they were before getting caught, as many have just given their entire life savings to smugglers for absolutely nothing.
This is exclusive new video that shows migrants in Illinois leading police on a dangerous high-speed chase. That is a cornfield.
Well, new Border Patrol data now revealing that migrant encounters have dropped dramatically since Trump took office. Now, despite the overall drop in numbers, smugglers are still finding ways to bring migrants in illegally.
Pues soy triste. Que no crucé. No pienso volver a salir de mi país porque quedé de verdad traumatizado con todo lo que pasé.
In an interview with our partner Telemundo, Kevin Rodriguez says he was detained in Guantanamo for 14 days.
There are still thousands of migrants in Mexico stuck in limbo. Smugglers in Mexico are capitalizing on the desperation of migrants and actually charging up to $18,000 just to be smuggled across the Rio Grande.
Some of these illegal aliens, they spend all their money, all their savings, all their resources.
I remember being down here nearly a year ago and seeing people desperate to get into the U.S. to get caught and then released. That's all over under this administration.
Border troops outnumbered, right?
There are now so many troops at the border, it's turning into a ghost town. But just a few months ago, nobody running our country would even admit we had the resources to do something like this and shut down the border in the first place. And for years, everyone said we had the most secure border in history, and that restricting it further was not just impossible, but possibly inhumane, as closing it would just mean desperate people with nowhere to go would wait indefinitely in the middle of the Mexican desert, which hasn't happened. In fact, many unlawful residents already inside America are voluntarily deporting themselves if they don't think their asylum applications will get approved. And all of this has created a situation at the border that just makes ICE's job easier, requiring less resources, not more. Because if the place is a ghost town, when someone does decide to cross, a rapid response can immediately take place. And by quickly arresting those who illegally enter the country and turning them back, a message is being sent to the entire world that America's front door is no longer unlocked. But that brings us to the real reason this border crackdown had to start as quickly and rapidly as it has. Over the last 4 years, the country has seen...
It's not for you to enter in however you please and then try to find work without any fucking citizenship or anything like that. Like, do you have a place of residency? No? Okay, how are we supposed to send you a paycheck? Do you have a banking system? Like, what?
Record illegal immigration. And closing the border is just the first step in getting the dangerous gang members and criminals out of our country for good. A process that could take a long time, as millions of people have recently entered America. And as we're learning, not everyone has come here with good intentions, with some of the world's most dangerous criminals and gang members doing whatever they can to hide in plain sight.
Well, this was one of the largest operations we have seen yet. Around 90 illegal migrants were arrested. Border Czar Tom Homan joined that operation. He tells me it was phase 1 of a larger criminal investigation.
Look at that, almost 100 people arrested in just one raid. And with none of these individuals having legal permission to be in the country, this reveals a huge problem. The border can't just be shut down, it needs to be shut down while enforcement ramps up inside the United States. And as you're about to see, people who are particularly dangerous could end up in America's most controversial detention center.
Now we're hearing for the first time about the conditions inside the military base turned detention center. In an interview with our partner Telemundo, Kevin Rodriguez says he was detained in Guantanamo for 14 days. Now reunited with his family in Venezuela, he recalls spending days stuck inside a 9-by-6-foot cell.
Habían hasta telaraña, estaban en muy mal estado esa celda. Eso era lo que más me preocupaba, cuánto tiempo iba a estar ahí, cuánto tiempo iba a estar mi familia.
Okay, so here you have a guy who was detained at Guantanamo Bay, but not in the humanitarian relief center settings, but inside one of the actual cells, something that ICE says is reserved for people who they think are dangerous or are a higher level of offender in some regard. But it looks like he doesn't have plans to come back. Obviously, being deported is probably a frightening experience, and while he says the place he was in was dirty and not cleaned, every picture we get on the news looks like this. The place
looks pretty clean.
Spotless. It looks nicer than a lot of jails in places like New York, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but regardless,
also,
sentiments like these have a lot to do with...
They closed down Guantanamo Bay and then opened it back up because Trump was all like, yeah, open it back up so we can fucking put those people in there. So it's probably been cleaned and everything just so that, right, they can fucking move people in and out.
With why border crossings are down in the first place. If someone's going to be caught and there's a whole operation in place to quickly move you out of the country back to where you started, the whole idea of secretly entering America looks like a big waste of time, which is completely different than how it looked just a few months ago.
The Post recently got the opportunity to ride along with Border Patrol agents in the El Paso, Texas sector, which spans both West Texas and New Mexico. In the span of just 4 quiet hours on the border, one migrant was apprehended and fought back tears as he was met by 6 burly federal agents who were likely to kick him back to Mexico within the same day.
Okay, so this guy did what a lot of people do. He paid smugglers to help get into the country, but he was immediately caught and he's being immediately turned back. And he says that it cost him $7,000. That's a lot of money to throw down the drain.
To give to coyotes, by the way.
Somebody. And with the border now on total lockdown, with there being more...
I mean, these people are literally paying criminals to bust them to the border. And then they get caught. It's just like, dude, why did you... Why?
more agents there than there are people trying to get across, the idea of illegal immigration is now a bad one. Not only because it's an immediate waste of time and money, but also because if you enter the country illegally, you can no longer apply for asylum. And thus there is no more asylum crisis.
Because if you already broke the rules once, right, what's stopping you from trying to do it again? Right, you should have just went the legal way, right, instead of trying to do the illegal way, because now you're exiled. You fucked up. You basically broke a pretty big federal rule not to do it.
It was his second attempt crossing the border, which just cost him $7,000 in smuggling fees to the coyotes or cartel operatives who helped him make entry.
So you spent over
you break federal law. That sucks. You're now exiled because you're not even a citizen of the U.S.
All their money, all their savings, all their resources to make this illegal entry into the United States.
Yeah, literally.
More manpower
it's like,
and time.
why?
Okay, so it's important
Why
to
do
understand
that?
People aren't going
You
to
could have literally used that money to go about the legal way, but instead you went the illegal route. And now you can never come back in. Or you can never enter now. That's because you fucked yourself.
Everything they have trying to come to America, if they can't stay once they get here. Previously, that was how things worked, and that's why we had the asylum crisis. Apparently, this person, he's one of 395 people that are now caught per day, which is down from what looks like a peak of 1,800 per day in 2023. And there's another disincentive that nobody's talking about, which also stops people from thinking that they can come to America and get in the country without permission and then live a semi-normal life, even if they set up shop in a sanctuary city.
The Department of Homeland Security says the app once used to help migrants travel to the U.S. will now only be available to aid non-citizens in leaving the country. The CBP
so they repurposed it. Oh, now you gotta leave, motherfuckers.
Source that individuals can download on their phones. The TSA also used the app to verify migrants when using airport security.
Okay, so this app was not only your immigration documentation after you get apprehended.
Now it's being used to monitor you because you fucking cheated.
ID to get on a plane, but there's a huge problem with that because look at this. Apparently, when some people enter the United States and get apprehended, they don't bring their ID. They
they have fake documents and shit.
Officials have to take them at their word. If they say that their name is John Smith, then that's what name goes into that paperwork, which then gets shown to the TSA and is someone's ID. And aside from the fact that this is a major security risk, letting people who have been unidentified on airplanes, this also means that people who might be living in a sanctuary city, like let's say New York, and might have been using this app to travel around the country, now they can't do that. Now they have to stay in one location.
Oh yeah, I bet a lot of unidentified people were flying to state to state, and we don't know where all those people went now.
The impossibility of crossing a border that is staffed with armed troops, and now the inability to come here and kind of travel around the country however you'd wish. All of that together means people just aren't interested in coming here anymore.
Look, it's empty. The smugglers trying to move people who are trying to get away from Border Patrol by going through these peaks and valleys of this mountainous area.
At the beginning of all this too, there was the one video of them showing cartel members just scouting the area
so that they can alert agents.
What a total 180. That's crazy. Look at that. Just people coming right up to the fence. Border Patrol overwhelmed.
And tackled troops on their way.
And then they try to
get... you know why it's empty right now? It's because the people that might have done that a year ago now know that things will play out very differently. They won't get to stampede the border and then be released into America, which many of these folks were. In fact, some of the folks that were part of that stampede, what they had happen to them was their charges were dismissed. So they didn't suffer any consequences for hurting other people or tearing down border barriers. But if you try something like that today, you're going to get sent maybe to Guantanamo if the Trump administration thinks that you're dangerous, or you'll just be immediately turned back around and any money you spent is gone. And the main contributor to this was this Remain in Mexico policy.
God, so many fucking people getting into that goddamn...
but was then canceled. What this policy said was that you can seek asylum, but you have to remain in the country that you're seeking it from. You can't enter America and then file an asylum claim and then wait here to see how that plays out. That's why we had the asylum crisis, is because asylum seekers were now allowed to wait in America and come to cities like New York that give away free shelter beds and just wait until their case is either successful or unsuccessful. And since there's no enforcement on basic immigration law, many people were staying here after they were already told, hey, you didn't qualify for asylum, you have to leave the country. People were just staying. But smuggling people into America, that's big business. These cartels, these gangsters, these smugglers, coyotes as they're called, they're making a lot of money bringing people across. And they're still telling their customers, hey, we can get you in, but they are saying it's going to cost a little more because security is now tighter.
There are still thousands of migrants in Mexico stuck in limbo after President Trump did end that CBP-1 program. Now, smugglers in Mexico are capitalizing on the desperation of migrants and actually charging up to $18,000 just to be smuggled across the Rio Grande.
$18,000.
Wow.
And since the people who get smuggled in aren't around to immediately dissuade others and say, hey, it didn't work for me, I got caught.
Before
these guys
it was
still have unlimited
that one lady
customers.
got 7,000.
These people. And look at
At
this.
one point it was
The gentleman
7,000.
that
Now
was
it's
in that New York
18,000.
Post story, it says that it was his second time crossing the border. So if he spent $7,000 each time, he's $14,000 in the hole, and he hasn't made it. And even if he did, it's dubious what he would even accomplish being
Yeah,
here,
what would he
you can't
accomplish?
seek asylum if you entered the country illegally. You can't do that anymore.
It's like, what are you supposed to do when you already are illegal and you broke in? Like, you think you're going to get work easily? Like, what? You have no identification to tell who the fuck you are. How the fuck are they going to fill out paperwork for you to get you on the payroll?
With Texas Trooper Guadalupe Casares, he received an alert right away from a camera showing individuals entering the U.S. illegally and attempting to hide in the brush. Border Patrol agents and Texas National Guard troops also arrived on the scene. I followed Casares as he and BP agents cleared the brush, and the pursuit was on as they tracked the individuals' footsteps, eventually leading them to two Mexican nationals lying on the ground and attempting to hide from authorities. They do believe that the male in that purple hoodie that you're about to see in your video was...
So these guys were hiding in a cornfield thinking that they could evade Border Patrol, but there's all this technology at the border.
Yeah,
right now.
they could fucking... They have
there's
fucking drones.
There are eyes in the sky, and look at this place. It's very flat. There's not a lot of areas to hide. It's not like a place where you've got caves and ravines. No, it's flat. They're catching people quickly. And with the border czar saying that anyone who gets caught entering the country illegally now will face a 10-year ban and can't come back, a lot of people are just deciding that, hey, this is not worth it. I'm not going to try to come in because then I may never get in. But these smugglers, they're still promising people that they can get them in. And they're not telling people that their legal pathways expire the second they break the law to come here. And now
they don't. They literally don't tell these guys, "Hey, don't do what you're doing," because they're not going to allow you.
In the past,
we got to see that firsthand. What was interesting is that under
they don't tell them the repercussions of trying to do such a thing. Instead, they're all like, "Oh yeah, pay us. We can bust you right over."
With an overwhelmed agents on the American side, drawing all those resources to focus on the migrants. Now we're also noticing that smugglers are now moving in smaller groups, but now in areas that are less patrolled by either Texas troopers, National Guard, or Border Patrol agents, all three now working to deter those smugglers.
Isn't that fascinating? In the past, the goal was to bring people into the country and get caught by Border Patrol, because then these folks would be paroled into the country itself because of the Remain in Mexico policy being canceled. But now that getting caught is basically the end of your journey. They don't want to get caught anymore. So now they're taking smaller groups. They're charging those people more money. They're trying to sneak around where border security might be. These AI-powered listening devices, cameras, the drones. That probably has a lot to do with why prices are now close to almost $20,000, according to this report.
Texas DPS drones also playing a critical role when it comes to spotting smugglers. Here, they captured a raft in action as a smuggler attempts to move 3 Mexican nationals across the Rio Grande. As soon as those individuals did reach American soil, they were quickly apprehended, while the smuggler actually paddled back to Mexico, likely looking to smuggle another group. We did also witness scouts on the Mexican side looking on, and
that is pretty wild. So these guys in this raft, they smuggled people over. You can see them here entering the country. Those people immediately get caught, but as they're getting arrested, he's on his way back to Mexico to bring more people across who are just essentially getting turned over to Border Patrol, who says they're going to then have them back in Mexico within hours. That's insane. And I don't think people understand that once they come here, there is absolutely nothing that they're going to accomplish unless it is their goal to be here as a criminal. And that creates a very dangerous situation, because people who do come here, They've got to come to a place like New York where they can get a fake ID or a copy of somebody else's ID, which they can pay for, and then work legally, illegally at a local business, tricking them into hiring them, or just work at a business that hires people who are here unlawfully and exploits them, underpays them. There is no room to come here and be otherwise law-abiding. People now have to fully subject themselves to the criminal underworld, and it's wrong for a country to have a system in place that empowers criminals. It just puts the law-abiding general public at risk. What do you think about
we're
that?
living
Are all
back
these
in the
disincentives
fucking
at the border and in
the
sanctuary
Old
cities
West.
a good thing? Is that going to keep America, the general public, and law-abiding immigrants safe? Or is this what the activists are telling us? Is this the first step to some sort of mass roundup against people who may not speak English at home? Something activists are telling people out there, trying to stir up fear. Let me know. Thank you so much.
Well, I mean, you have
watching.
also some of our
video.
politicians being shady and like trying to help these people. And it's just like, why are you guys doing what you know that's against the law to be doing that kind of shit? You're essentially telling these people not to listen to police officers and politicians when they enter the country. Fucking AOC and Ilhan Omar. Fucking dumbasses. Doing some real fucking illegal shit, dude. Corrupt motherfuckers. Oh, there you go. Cash Jordan. Why was I unsubscribed? Yeah, I keep noticing, right, some of the channels that I was subscribed to, I've become unsubscribed for some reason. Fuck you. Fuck you, YouTube. Fuck you, Google. Eat my penis. Alright, what do I got here?
Unfortunately, her life was cut short by an obsessed fan.
Can't believe that the poor guy died. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever that he would die in such a senseless manner.
It's always.
Well, you had that guy recently who got caught doing some stuff outside like one of those drive-through women-only car washes and shit. He got caught beating off, and apparently he decided to end his life because he got caught. And he had a wife and kid. Which was like, what the fuck?
Giving people the benefit of the doubt, you know, and look what it got her.
The problem with being famous is that anyone can be...
Yeah, I mean, you give people the benefit of the doubt way too much, and it's like, now you're too far gone, right?
Become your fan, even dangerous people. And when those dangerous fans strike, the consequences can be fatal. Today, we'll talk about celebrities who were ended by their own fans and the tragic events behind each case. Hello, friends. So my goal this year is to give you guys double the amount of videos without sacrificing quality. And in order for me to do that, we got to keep Visual Venture growing. So 75% of you guys are not subscribed, and it would mean the world to me
so you want
if you
us
did,
to subscribe
and I promise
and
to give you more fire content. John Lennon.
No, not John Lennon.
This video with a bit of an older case. John Lennon was one of the world's biggest musicians. But in
was it a lady?
He said something
I forgot who
that
did
made
it.
his own fans turn against him. John Lennon was a member of the Beatles, which you guys have definitely heard of, but just in case, they were a super successful
I can't remember if it was a
While
dude or a
about their
chick who did
success,
it.
Lennon said that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus.
Catcher in the Rye. That's a good book.
Than anything else, including
Kind of
Jesus, but I said it in
racist
that
a little bit, but
way, which is the wrong way.
For many Christians, this wasn't just a statement, it was an insult to their faith. And angry fans boycotted the band and even sent him death threats. However, as the years passed, the uproar died down and life moved on, at least for most people. But one man, 25-year-old Mark David Chapman, thought Lennon's comment was unforgivable, and he wanted to do something about it. Chapman started out as a fan of John Lennon. However, after the more popular than Jesus comment, Chapman found other reasons to resent him. To Chapman, John Lennon was a hypocrite. Lennon sang about living a simple life and rejecting materialism. But Lennon wasn't practicing what he preached. At the time, Lennon was worth around $200 million, equivalent to $620 million.
Yeah, also, a lot of the people in the music industry during those times, a lot of them were kind of drug users, unfortunately.
today. He lived in a lavish home, owned a custom
because of the
Rolls-Royce,
lifestyle,
and enjoyed a
right.
luxurious lifestyle. Chapman described his feelings, saying, "John Lennon told us to imagine no possessions, and there he was with millions of dollars and yachts and country estates, laughing at people like me who would believe the lies and built a big part of their lives."
And fans get way too parasocial. Right, they turn fucking fanatic and
around
too
his
much.
Music. Chapman decided
they don't know how to
Lennon needed to be
fucking
punished, and he came
separate
up with a plan
themselves
to do
from the
just
artist.
that. On December 8th, 1980, Chapman put his
And the
plan
person.
into motion. He went to the New York apartment where Lennon was staying, but when he arrived, he was disappointed by what he saw. There was a crowd of fans outside the apartment waiting for pictures and autographs from the star. After a while, Lennon came out. He signed some autographs and took pictures with fans. Chapman blended in with the crowd and even
he went
posed for a
point blank
picture
and
with
shot
John
him.
Lennon. Lennon had no clue that the man standing beside him was plotting to end him. After signing autographs, Lennon and his wife left their apartment, heading to a recording session. From a distance, Chapman watched them go, but instead of returning home, Chapman waited nearby. Around 10:50 p.m. that night, Lennon and his wife returned. It was dark, the fans were gone, and the street outside their apartment was quiet. As Lennon and his wife emerged from their car, Chapman stepped out of the shadows and ended John Lennon. Neighbors rushed to the scene and drove Lennon to a hospital. Sadly, Lennon didn't survive.
Former Beatle John Lennon, who was 40, was shot and killed last night outside his luxury apartment in New York.
What makes this story even stranger is what Chapman did after the crime. Chapman remained at the scene and appeared to be reading a book when New York City police officers arrived. He didn't resist arrest. In 1981, Chapman was sentenced to 20 years to life
because the
in
dude
prison.
was
Since
fucking
then, he's been
mad.
denied parole 13 times, with his most recent request rejected in 2024. This next case is a head-scratcher involving angry fans, cover-ups, and stories that don't add up. Albert Abbasse. When we think of celebrities, we usually picture actors and musicians. But footballers are celebrities too, and I'm not talking about American football. Just like other stars, these athletes sometimes have fans who take things way too far. Albert Abbasse was a soccer player from Cameroon, a country in Africa. In 2013, he got his big break, a chance to play for a top team in Algeria. Traveling to another country to play was a big deal, and Albert did not disappoint. In his first season, Albert was the league's top scorer with 20 goals in 36 matches. He also helped his team finish second in the league. Albert was a hero. Fans loved
he was
him,
a good
and his teammates
soccer player.
relied on him. But all that changed on August 23rd, 2014. That day, Albert's team, JSK, played against their rivals, MC Alger. The match
Oh yeah, wasn't this the one where the opposite team killed him or some shit?
which was a big deal for Algerian football.
Yeah.
Rivalry
Oh yeah,
between the
that's what it was. That's the Algerian flag. That was the flag from, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks?
It was a close game.
I was trying to
In the
figure out
end,
what that
Albert's
fucking
team
flag
lost
was.
2-1. As Albert's team walked off the pitch, anger erupted in the stands. Angry fans threw sticks, bottles, and other objects at the players. It was chaos, and the flying objects were dangerous. The players ran off the field, heading for the safety of their dressing room. At first, this didn't seem like a huge
Someone
deal.
threw an
The
object
fans had a
and
reputation for being
fucking
rowdy,
clacked them,
but
huh?
hours later, devastating news broke. JSK announced that
Yep.
Albert was hit on the head by an object thrown from the crowd. He was rushed to the hospital but didn't make it.
A Cameroonian footballer playing in Algeria has died after being struck by what appeared to be a piece of concrete.
Algeria's
Motherfucker
sports
had a
minister
rock?
released a statement
What the
claiming
fuck?
the object that hit Albert was a slate tile, like the ones used
No
for flooring
way.
or roofing. That made sense because construction work was going on near the stadium. It seemed
Holy
like a
shit,
tragic
they
case
threw a
of fan
fucking
violence.
slate
Can't
tile
believe
like
that the poor guy
that's
died.
fucking
It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever
Yeah,
he
that
would
was
die
like
in such a
Jesus.
senseless manner, especially after scoring the only goal for his side in that match.
But while everyone accepted this
Well, I mean,
explanation,
the reason was because people were betting on that match, and him scoring the goal meant that a lot of people lost a lot of money. So the fact that they, whoever threw that thing, right, probably lost a lot of money and was upset and fucking nailed him.
Albert's family felt the story didn't add up, so they launched their own investigation. Doubts began when Albert's dad saw a video of Albert leaving the pitch to enter the dressing room after the match. In the video, Albert didn't seem hurt at all. Albert's family hired an independent pathologist to perform a second autopsy. What they discovered completely changed everything. The new report said that Albert's injuries couldn't have been caused by an object hitting his head. It stated it can't be a slate tile, as the Algerian stated in the report, because if someone threw a tile even at high speed, it couldn't cause such severe wounds
damage
like the ones I found on the body. The object that hit him came from close range. But the pathologist had his own theory. He said Albert's injuries could only be explained by a physical attack, especially because some of his wounds shown signs of struggle. When this report came out, it led to speculation that Albert was attacked by someone in the dressing room, leading to his demise. Albert's father believed this theory. He said it wasn't a rock, it wasn't a seizure, my son was murdered. Following the new autopsy, the Algerian Ministry of Justice promised a deeper investigation. But weeks turned into months and still no answers came. Meanwhile, the Algerian Football Federation and the government paid Ebasse's family $100,000 in compensation. Despite the money, Albert's father was determined to uncover the truth. He declared, "All I want there to be is justice. If investigations are done properly, they will find out who killed Albert." Unfortunately, what happened to Albert Ebasse is still a mystery. Was he ended by his angry fans as the official story claimed, or was it a cover-up for something darker? What happened to this next celebrity was so tragic that the government passed a law to prevent it from happening again.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but there were instances during some of the Olympic matches in the old days where there was a lot of shady shit going, right? A lot of betting and shady shit were going in the background during the old Olympic days, and you actually had some of those athletes pass away and shit because of some shit that went down.
Again, Rebecca Schaefer.
So it's
when she was just 19, Rebecca Schaefer.
I hate to say it, but when you're gambling in these sports games, some people, you might be dealing with fucking criminal organizations or someone affiliated to them.
A role on the TV sitcom My Sister Sam. But the show didn't just bring her fame, it brought a deadly stalker. His name was Robert John Bardo. It was no secret that Robert had
a lot of
issues.
these
As a teenager, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. He also spent time in a psychiatric facility
a lot of
to treat emotional
I'm guessing a lot of the characters he's talking about are pretty known people.
Problems.
I probably already know some of them.
Bardo developed an extreme obsession with female celebrities.
I already knew some of these. It's just been a while since I've
actress Samantha Smith.
watched
He sent her letters
or
and
seen
even tried
some
to
news
meet
about
with her.
this stuff.
Sadly, Samantha passed away in a plane crash in 1985. So with Samantha gone, Robert needed a new focus. That's when Rebecca Schaefer caught his eye. Rebecca was an actress, model, and star of the sitcom My Sister Sam. Bardo first saw her in a commercial for the show in 1986.
Hi, I'm Patty Russell, and this is my sister Sam. I used to live with her aunt and uncle in Oregon, but a few months ago I changed that. Before she moved in, I had my life totally together. But were you having any fun? I hate it when she's right.
Robert was obsessed right away. The first thing he did was send Rebecca a letter expressing his admiration. Rebecca didn't realize how troubled Robert was. To her, he was just another fan, so he replied to his letter. But one reply wasn't enough for Robert. He bombarded Rebecca with dozens of letters. However, this time, Rebecca didn't respond. As Bardo waited for her to write back, his frustration grew. Eventually, Bardo decided to stop waiting and visit Rebecca in person. He prepared like he was going on a date. He bought flowers and a teddy bear, then traveled to a Hollywood set where Rebecca was shooting a movie. But Bardo was in for a huge disappointment. The security on the movie set refused to let him through because Rebecca wasn't expecting any visitors. All his effort was for nothing. Now, Bardo was mad. He returned a month later armed with a knife, but security guards again prevented him from gaining access. At this point, it seemed like he he would never meet Rebecca. Over time, his fixation on Rebecca started to fade. Then, one thing brought it all back. In 1989, Bardo saw Rebecca doing a love scene with another actor in a movie. Bardo was enraged by the scene, apparently out of jealousy. In his disturbed mind, Rebecca was no longer sweet and innocent, and she—
Yeah, I mean, you kind of saw it with fucking a lot of movie stars, right? The fucking fangirls or fanboys.
Needed to be punished for becoming another Hollywood whore. Bardo paid a private detective $250 to find Rebecca's home address. Once Bardo knew where she lived, he got a weapon. On July 18th, 1989, Bardo showed up at Rebecca Schaefer's home in Los Angeles. Inside, Rebecca was waiting for someone to deliver a script when she heard a knock at the door. Expecting the delivery person, she opened it only to find Bardo standing there. Bardo showed her the letter she had sent him and an autographed photo. He told her he was her biggest fan, but Rebecca was busy. She politely told him she had an interview to get ready for. She shook his hand, wished him well, and shut the door. In Bardo's disturbed mind, Rebecca just rejected him like he was bothering her. He went to a nearby restaurant, ordered a meal, and sat there replaying their encounter in his head. Anger and frustration consumed him. An hour later, he returned to Rebecca's apartment. This time, she recognized him as soon as she opened the door. Rebecca said, "You've come to my door again. Hurry up. I don't have much time." Then Robert ended her. He was only 21. After the crime, Bardo fled the scene, but didn't have a solid escape plan. He was later seen wandering around aimlessly in traffic and arrested by police. Bardo was found guilty on first-degree murder and sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Rebecca's passing was a national tragedy, but it brought attention to the dangers of stalking. Rebecca's demise led to the passing of America's first anti-stalking laws in 1990. For the first time, stalking was classified as a crime.
They made a stalking law after her.
Punishments like jail time and fines. Our next story is something most of you might remember. I was also a fan of hers back in the day. Christina Grimmie. Meet and greet is an event where fans can meet a celebrity, usually for a photo, autograph, or a quick chat. But after what happened to Christina Grimmie at her meet and greet, some celebrities now fear being in the same room with their fans. Christina was one of the first musicians to become famous on YouTube. She blew up in 2009 because of one song.
Yeah, the first YouTube star, basically.
Hi, I'm gonna sing Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus. When it gets to the high notes, I don't really, it's kind of difficult for me to sing. My voice has been going through a lot of crappy problems. I hope you like it though.
The video went viral and suddenly millions were watching her online.
So I gotta get my model on. Not that I'm a model, because I'm so not a model.
Christina caught the attention of big names in the music industry. Before long, she got a management team and her career took off. Christina released EPs, went on tour with Selena Gomez, and even competed on season 6 of The Voice. By 2014, Christina Grimmie had over 2 million YouTube subscribers and a devoted fan base. She was on the brink of major success. Then she locked eyes with a man who would end her life, Kevin James Loibl.
Dude, why are all the fucking, literally all the fans, or the fanatics, right? Are just, or well, not all the fanatics. Dude straight up looks like a fucking murderer. Same with this guy over here. Right, it's just straight up looks like a murder.
27-year-old Kevin felt like he was a loner. He rarely left his room, spent hours on his computer, and had almost no friends. Most described him as socially awkward and detached. Then, sometime in 2015, Kevin discovered Christina Grimmie.
He was a true neat.
He was mesmerized. For
and
the
then
next
he got
6 months,
fucking,
he spent most of his waking hours watching Christina on YouTube and monitoring her social media accounts.
Oh, yikes.
As Kevin watched her, he became
it sounds like a lot of Twitch streamers having the same fucking issue.
He decided to track her her down and try to get into a relationship with
Twitch
her.
streamers
First, he
having
needed to make
fucking
himself presentable. Determined to impress
crazy
her, Kevin transformed
fanatics,
his
or
appearance.
they
He lost
got a bunch
50
of weird hate
pounds,
watchers that
underwent
keep
LASIK surgery, and
stalking.
had his teeth whitened and got hair implants. In 2016, Christina announced that she would be performing in Orlando. Kevin felt it was the perfect opportunity to finally meet her, so he drove over 100 miles to the event. But this meeting was not going to end well. On June 10th, 2016, Christina performed at Plaza Live in Orlando. After her set, she hosted a meet and greet. Fans lined up to take pictures and get autographs. Christina, ever so kind and humble, made everyone feel special. At exactly 10:24 p.m., Kevin James Loibl reached the front of the line. As he stepped forward, Christina opened her arms for a hug, but instead of hugging her, Kevin ended her. Christina's brother Marcus tackled Kevin to the ground, but Kevin managed to break free. Then Kevin backed against the wall, ended himself.
Grimmy's brother Marcus immediately dove over a merchandise booth and tackled the gunman to the ground.
By the time the paramedics arrived, it was too late to save Christina. She was gone. This tragedy wasn't just heartbreaking, it was confusing. Why did Kevin obsess over Christina and then end her when they finally met? Kevin James had no criminal record or history of mental illness. Why did he suddenly turn violent? To this day, no one understands why he did it. To preserve her legacy, Christina's family created a foundation to support families affected by gun violence.
Some of these people have the mentality of, if I can't have whatever it is, then let the world burn, right?
This next story is about a rumor that made a celebrity a target for execution. Dimebag Darrell. Fans are sad when their favorite band breaks up, but eventually they get over it. However, when heavy metal band Pantera split, fans were so mad that someone ended up losing their life. Pantera wasn't just any band. They sold 20 million records,
I forgot about
4
this one.
Grammy nominations, making them one of the most successful bands in heavy metal history.
Cowboys from Hell made Pantera a household name, and their subsequent albums, Vulgar Display of Power and Far
I
Beyond
remember
Rhythm, were released with
hearing
much
the
success.
stories about it, but
Despite
never
their success,
really looked
the
into
band
it.
members didn't really get along. Creative differences and personal clashes made things tense. By 1996, it was so bad that they couldn't even record an album together in the same room. They had to work separately. The tension lasted for another 7 years. Finally, in 2003, Pantera split. For Pantera's loyal fans, it was heartbreaking. But one fan took his disappointment to a dangerous extreme. That fan was Nathan Gale. Nathan was not a happy guy. For most of his life, he struggled to hold down a steady job. In 2002, he joined the Marines, hoping to turn things around. But even that didn't work. He was discharged from the service after being diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. Nathan refused treatment and returned home, where his mental health worsened. He started making strange claims, like saying God wanted him to eliminate Marilyn Manson. He would talk to himself, laugh at nothing, and even play with an imaginary dog. One of the few normal aspects of Nathan's troubled life was his deep love for Pantera. Their music was his escape.
That makes
Nathan
sense.
would often hang out at a tattoo shop near his apartment, ranting about heavy metal music. But as Nathan's mental state worsened, his love for Pantera became distorted. He started to think Pantera's songs were actually his. He even showed people notebooks as evidence, claiming Pantera copied their songs from him. Nathan's delusions
even
were
though
at their
he was
peak when
literally a
Pantera
part of the
announced their
band.
split in 2003. Nathan was crushed. He still loved the band and couldn't imagine life without new music from them. Filled with anger, Nathan tried to figure out why Pantera split. Who was to blame for destroying his favorite band? Soon he got his answer. Nathan watched a 2004 interview where Pantera's vocalist Phil Anselmo accused another member, Dimebag Darrell, of causing problems in the band. Anselmo said Dimebag would attack him verbally and get into heated arguments with him. Although Anselmo didn't directly say Dimebag was responsible for the breakup, the rumor stuck, and some fans believed Dimebag was to blame for the split. Now, Nathan had someone to blame. In his disturbed mind, Dimebag Dimebag Darrell was the enemy. In December of 2004, Nathan heard that Dimebag Darrell would be performing at a nightclub in Ohio. Nathan attended the event. Then he made his way through the crowd, trying to get close to the stage. When Nathan was close enough, he jumped on the stage and yelled at Darrell, "This is for breaking up Pantera." Before Dimebag could respond, Nathan ended Darrell's life. People screamed and scrambled to escape, but Nathan didn't make it out. In the midst of the panic, a police officer at the scene shot him before he could hurt anyone else. The next day, the headlines read, "Band split, set off Slayer." It was one of the saddest days in rock music. The next story also involves a singer, but the one who ended her life was the last person anyone expected: Selena Quintanilla Perez. Any fan would love the chance to work with their favorite musician, but when Latin singer Selena got into business with her biggest fan, it set off a chain of events that cost Selena her life. Latin music is massive today, but it was Selena Quintanilla that helped make it happen. Selena made music that was a blend of traditional Mexican and American music styles.
I think I've heard of this.
Her first album in 1989, she churned out hit after hit. By 1994, she won a Grammy for Best Mexican American Album. That same year, her latest album became one of the best-selling albums in the United States. Selena performed at sold-out concerts across the U.S. and Mexico. It was at one of these shows that Selena met 31-year-old Yolanda Saldivar. Yolanda swore she was Selena's biggest fan, but she didn't want to be an ordinary fan anymore. She wanted to start a Selena fan club. It sounded like a good idea, so Selena agreed. Unfortunately, that decision to start a fan club would lead directly to Selena's demise. At first, Yolanda seemed like the perfect fan club.
She was just trying to do it to get close to her.
Nurse to run the club full time. And although she was earning less than she made as a nurse, Yolanda was dedicated. Her efforts paid off. In just a few years, the fan club grew to over 8,000 members, becoming one of the largest in the San Antonio area. The success brought Yolanda and Selena closer. They became friends. Selena trusted Yolanda so much that she hired her to manage a chain of clothing boutiques Selena owned. It was an important job. Yolanda was authorized to write and cash checks and had access to bank accounts associated with the fan club and boutiques. But not everyone trusted Yolanda. Before long, people close to Selena started raising concerns about Yolanda's attitude. Employees at Selena's boutiques were the first to complain. They said Yolanda was always nice when Selena was around, but treated everyone terribly when the singer was away. Yolanda was also power hungry, firing anyone she didn't like. Soon, the employees at the boutiques dropped from 38 to just 14, but it got worse. By January 1995, fans began complaining that they hadn't received the fan club merch they paid for. At this point, Selena was concerned. She didn't want to look like she was scamming her fans. So Selena's team launched an investigation, and they finally understood how bad things were. They realized Yolanda embezzled more than $60,000 using forged checks from both the fan club and boutiques. This was a serious crime. When Selena and her team demanded answers from Yolanda, she had a bizarre reaction. Yolanda simply stared at them without denying the accusations or answering questions. They considered reporting her to the police. But before they could cut ties completely, they needed one last thing from Yolanda. Yolanda still had bank records, statements, and financial records necessary for tax
she had a lot of documentation.
Yolanda agreed to return the documents on one condition. Selena needed to meet her in person to get it. Selena agreed, and Yolanda asked Selena to meet her in a motel room. When Selena arrived at the motel, the two women got into a heated argument. Guests in nearby rooms heard their voices echo through the walls. The argument escalated until Yolanda pulled out something dangerous. Selena tried to escape by running to the motel lobby, but before she could make it, Yolanda ended Selena. The staff tried to help Selena by calling the ambulance.
What is your location? Days Inn Motel. It's 901 Navigation Boulevard. What's wrong, man? We have a woman ran in the lobby, said she's been shot.
However, by the time paramedics got her to a hospital, it was too late. Selena Quintanilla was only 23. After the crime, Yolanda tried to escape in her truck, but police blocked the road. What followed was a 9-hour standoff as Yolanda sat in her vehicle, refusing to come out.
Assistant Police Chief Ken Bung tells us that they have provided the suspect with a telephone and have been in constant contact with her, trying to get her to give herself up. However, as you can see, their efforts are still fruitless.
Finally, Yolanda surrendered and was arrested. In 1995, Yolanda was sentenced to life in prison with no eligibility for parole for 30 years. In 2025, Yolanda applied for parole, claiming she was being targeted by other inmates who want justice for Selena. She's currently in the parole review process. Selena could have had a much longer
Yolanda took that. Oh man, yeah. Yeah, the prison system, yeah, they find out you do something they don't like, they're gonna be gunning for you.
Future away. So for Selena's
yeah,
fans,
the inmates don't take too kindly to that shit.
Bars forever. Everyone makes mistakes, including celebrities. But what happens when an angry fan decides a celebrity's mistake can't be forgiven? Andres Escobar. Before the 1994 FIFA World Cup even started, Colombians were certain their team would win the tournament. The team was on fire, winning 25 of their last 26
I think
games.
this one was the one that had some criminal organizations tied to it.
But this positivity had a dark side. The expectations were so high that if the team didn't deliver, Colombian fans would be heartbroken or angry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is the one. Yeah, this is the one I was thinking of.
Players' shoulders, and in soccer, pressure leads to mistakes. Colombia entered the tournament as the clear favorites, but they got off to a horrible start. They lost their first match 3-1. Colombians were outraged. Fans demanded the team step up for the next game, but instead of making a comeback, things went from bad to worse. And it was all because of one of Colombia's star players, Andres Escobar. Andres Escobar was one of the best players in the Colombian team. Fans called him the gentleman because of how calm he was. However, during Colombia's second match against the US, Andres made the worst mistake of his career. Andres tried to block a pass from the Americans, but instead of stopping the ball, he accidentally deflected it into his own net. That own goal gave the US the lead, and Colombia went on to lose the game. Just like that, their World Cup run was over. Colombian soccer fans were furious, and many directed their anger at...
Yeah, and there were some unsavory people in the crowd that actually betted, right? So it's like
Andres Escobar. As the Colombian team
he became a target
Andres
after
knew
that.
Millions of angry fans were waiting to confront him. When Andres returned to Colombia, he tried to calm the nation by writing a letter to the media. Part of his letter read, "We must be gallant in victory, but much more so in defeat. But please let the respect remain. See you soon, because life doesn't end here." Unfortunately, his words didn't do much to calm tempers. A few days after returning from the World Cup, Andres decided to go out to a nightclub with some friends. Not everyone thought it was a good idea. His coach warned him to lay low, saying the streets are dangerous. Andres, stay home. But Andres didn't take the warning seriously. At the nightclub, 2 substance traffickers named David and Santiago Gajon spotted Andres as he walked in. They started mocking him, taunting him for scoring an own goal. Soon, the teasing turned into insults, and Andres decided to leave the club. But the Gajon brothers weren't done with him.
Understanding the gravity of the situation, Escobar decides to leave and goes to his car. Yet, he doesn't realize that the 4 people who initiated the nuisance in the bar follow him.
When Andres got into his car, the men were right there. Before driving off, Andres tried to explain one last time that the own goal was just a mistake. But then, one of the men pulled out a weapon and fired. Then the men fled. Andres Escobar passed away at 27. Andres' murder was an embarrassment for Colombia. How could a soccer player lose his life over a game? If fans hurt players every time their team lost, sports wouldn't survive. Eventually, the Gajon brothers were arrested and charged. But instead of taking the blame, they pinned it on their bodyguard. They allegedly paid their bodyguard to take the fall, and he confessed to the crime. The bodyguard was sentenced to 43 years in prison. However, he was released for good behavior after just serving 11 years. To this day, some people believe the case was covered up and that the real culprits got away. Next is the story of a man who conquered the fashion world only to be cut down in his prime.
I mean, there's still unsolved mysteries till this day, right? Unsolved murders, right? Missing people still.
Versace. If Gianni Versace knew that someone was coming to end his life, he could have hired dozens of bodyguards to protect him. After all, he was worth $807 million. But the way he was murdered was so shocking, so unexpected, that there was almost nothing he could have done to stop it. Gianni Versace started his fashion label in 1978.
Yeah,
his unique
Versace.
designs were an instant hit.
I like his clothes because I think he's got a unique perspective, and there's always a sense of wit to his clothes. Some little thing that you think, oh, wow.
Yeah, don't talk about
It wasn't just
Versace
his
anymore
clothes
that
that
much,
people
right?
loved. Gianni Versace himself became a celebrity, but that fame came with fans. And one of Versace's fans, named Andrew Cunanan, was about to become a criminal. Andrew Cunanan loved attention from a young age. He grew up in a wealthy family and never lacked anything.
He got everything
This
that
was from
he needed.
ABC. Oh,
My
yeah.
dad gave him a sports
long time
car, and actually he had the
What's up with the
master
fucking
bedroom,
bear?
he had his own bath and everything.
What?
But his perfect life didn't last.
Oh,
in
he was
1988, the
pampered.
police discovered that Andrew's rich dad was involved in financial crimes. To avoid getting arrested, his dad fled the country, leaving Andrew
That's why
behind.
he-
Almost overnight, Andrew, who was used to a life of luxury, was penniless. But he
Yep.
was ready to do anything to maintain his lifestyle. Anything except getting a real job. Andrew befriended wealthy older men who spoiled him with money and gifts.
Yeah, I mean-
For a while, this allowed him to keep up appearances. But it
Right.
wasn't
Well,
just the
his
money
d-
he
right,
wanted.
his dad
Andrew
was-
craved status.
Being accepted in high society and by wealthy people was what he expected. If he didn't get them, he was lost.
Andrew was always lying about being friends with celebrities. The one name he dropped the most was
Versace.
Versace. He never missed a chance to
Versace,
brag
sorry.
about his close friendship with Versace. But Andrew's life continued to fall apart. Andrew started using substances and developed a violent temper. His erratic behavior scared off the wealthy men who were supporting him. One by one, they cut him off. Andrew felt abandoned and desperate, and when he was 27, that desperation turned deadly. On April 27th, 1997, Andrew Cunanan snapped. Over the next 12 days, he went on a crime spree, taking the lives of 4 men across 3 states.
Oh, wow.
The police identified Andrew as the culprit and launched a manhunt to catch him. But for 2 months, Andrew managed to stay hidden. However,
Wow.
on July 15th, he came out
He
of
went
hiding
on,
to
like,
go
a
after
fucking
his next
serial
target,
killer
Gianni
mode.
Versace. That
Yeah.
morning, Versace went to a news cafe to pick up some magazines. As he walked back to his Miami mansion, Andrew was waiting for him, and Andrew fired. The demise of Gianni Versace made headlines worldwide.
The designer to stars like Princess Diana and Madonna gunned down in broad daylight right in front of his Florida mansion. Within hours, a suspect is named. It's Andrew Cunanan, who's at the top of the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
Police doubled their efforts to find Andrew before he could hurt anyone else. 8 days later, their search ended. Andrew was found lifeless on a houseboat in Miami Beach by his own hand.
The reign of terror brought upon us by Andrew Cunanan is over.
But many people still have questions about this case. Andrew was a huge fan of Versace, so why did he target the designer? Did Andrew and Versace know each other? The Versace family denied that Gianni ever met Andrew. Even the cops couldn't explain it. After extensive investigations, police said that they do not know why Versace was killed. Fame can bring success, admiration, and opportunities, but it can also attract dangerous people. No matter how big a celebrity is, they're never truly untouchable. And what's so unfortunate is that sometimes their biggest threat was the people who claimed to love them the
their
most.
behavior
Maybe we're
becomes,
lucky we're
right,
not that
obsession.
famous. Visual venture. Before you guys go,
Right,
make sure
these
you guys
people get
watch
obsessed
this playlist
and,
on the darkest internet
they do
documentaries
some
because
crazy
it'll show
shit.
YouTube that our channel is worth watching, which will allow me to
the
push
way
out
of-
even
the
more
way of
videos
life
for you guys.
sometimes.
Love you guys. Peace.
Jesus. Fucking crazy people. I mean, just look, yeah, you know, fucking P. Diddy. You have, right, the human trafficking ring that's been going on recently with, the Calvin Klein people, or one of the CEOs. He got caught up in some shit. He got caught up in some shit, right? You had the Epstein stuff recently too. Yeah, a lot of shit, man. A lot of shit. And then you got some people in the music industry who have been doing some shady shit too. Yeah, these are dark times that are starting to become more and more blatant. Or at least it seems like there's been an increase in these things coming up recently. Seems to be an uptick, right? Yeah, this one too, yeah. Anyways, what time is it? Jury awards 700 mil to a family of 17-year-old raped and killed on Myrtle Beach trip. Jesus fuck. Is this Soul Frame? Oh, that's the yeah, creepy Reddit stories that actually happened. Anything new for written being protests across U.S. show continued support for Ukraine amid tensions. Yeah, apparently when JD Vance was going on a trip, they were trying to stop him, I guess. I don't know. They were doing some assembly for some reason. I don't think half of the people know what the hell. Like, I wonder how these people are so stupid. Like, you guys doing this does nothing, really. Because there's a lot more information that you guys just do not know about. You guys shouldn't know about. Because it does no one any good to know that fucking information. Because people just fucking spurg out. I mean, just look at what happened when fucking Snowden and, right, Julian Assange fucking released information. Fucking so many people spurged the fuck out. Even politicians were freaking the fuck out. Do you want to be that type of person? Do you want that fucking heat? Do you want to be a target to be fucking assassinated? I mean, just look at what happened with Trump. Do you really want that heat? People are playing a fucking dangerous game. Internet is mad at Kai Cenat. Oh, because of what he said about PewDiePie. Each their own. I mean, look, I have my gripes with content creation, but that's the name of the game. That's what people flock towards, right? They flock towards the PewDiePies, the Kai Cenats, I guess you can say Tucker Carlson, right? The Tim Pools. The Asmongols, right? Or even the most hated people, like Hassan and Destiny, right? Or even Trump. Yeah, just look at Trump. So many people fucking hate Trump, even though he's trying to do the right thing for the country. It's like, Jesus Christ. You guys are so fucking up in your goddamn assholes. Got like a big ass stick shoved up there or something. Anyways, I think I'm gonna call it. I do got